Uh, so basically, I want to start from the beginning. I'm an anthropologist, you're in Kenya, and you're not following the fruits of Richard Leakey, his study of you're going to impact investment. And we'll sit down and we have some few minutes, we'll sit down and discuss about impact investment. But I want to understand, as part of the conversation we're having is the career growth of a person, and especially for people who are living at this age, which is sometimes very hectic and very disruptive. So I want to understand your transformation from anthropology, which I think we need you to start fossils, and tell us if the fossils that were found, Lucy is really that was found in Kenya, and tell us the stones that were found 4.5 billion years ago, so that we can tell exactly where you came from. You are in investment, impact investment. Briefly, the journey.
So I started as an anthropologist in university, and yes, I was following Richard Leakey. I was in Kubi Fora, up very, very northern Kenya, spent a lot of time up there, but ultimately decided that I wanted to do something with more meaning of my life. I think the sort of pedagogical pursuit and science is all very important, and we were only digging up 1.5 million year old fossils, but they were still pretty old. But so it was either an option to go into teaching or research if I were to follow that path. And that's not something that I felt I wanted to spend the rest of my life doing, and that I really was looking for more purpose in making an impact in either the community or the people that I was working with. So I ended up working for a nonprofit in the US, which aligned more with sort of that driving that purpose for me. But it was, at the end of the day, it was a very operations role. I wasn't necessarily doing programmatic work, and I still felt very far removed from the impact that I felt like I wanted to create in the world, and that purpose that I was looking for. So I started getting involved in social entrepreneurship, which was back then was quite new. I spent a lot of time on the coast of Kenya, working actually with US students to try and develop with the community businesses, social businesses that were actually designed by the community members. And that was really my first foray into social entrepreneurship, and that was at a very micro enterprise level. I later went to India, which has a very thriving entrepreneurship and business industry, and they're far more advanced in terms of even the impact investing and social entrepreneurship scene. And sort of that's really how I got into social entrepreneurship. From there, it was kind of an obvious progressive next step to get into impact investing. One thing led to another. I felt like it wasn't even necessarily up to me. But at the end of the day, I think my anthropology degree, it might not be an MBA or anything like that, but it really, I think, prepared me for cultural sensitivities and awareness. I am married to a Kenyan, my family, my mother-in-law is Kenyan, she doesn't speak much English. I'm working for a company that is based in India. I have Kenyan colleagues as a Mzungu. So I'm in this highly, diverse and multicultural environment all the time. So hindsight is 2020. Maybe anthropology didn't make sense many years ago when I was studying, and my mother was the first one to say, "What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do when you graduate?"
I really want to talk to a 10-year-old you and see her dreams and her admiration and just try and gauge many years from the time she was 10 years and what she come. Is this what you wanted as a 10-year-old?
No. I mean, I think as a young person, I had no idea what I wanted to do.
So back to the conversation. You have you are vice president in intellecap. Intellecap is an organization, an impact investment organization based in India, and looking at the reports and the works you've done, more than 5 countries. You have more than $400 million in capital raise. Events we can have today, we can say comfortably you guys have carried 12 delegates and ecosystem support events throughout the world, and Kenya is ready, Africa is ready. 7 years running, successful events. It sounds easy for you. Was it easy?
Hardly. No. Yeah. It was so we had intellecap in India had been established for many years before we decided to enter the Kenyan market.
Okay.
And the thinking really behind that was there was a lot of lessons that could be learned from within the global south.
Yeah.
I think particularly in Kenya, everyone's always looking at Silicon Valley, and the solutions that Silicon Valley has are not the solutions that will work in Kenya. I personally don't believe.
Thank you.
So I think there's much more collaboration that could happen between India, Latin America, Africa, Southeast Asia, and that's what intellecap is really trying to pursue. So it's been a long, tough journey, I think. But I think at the end of the day, particularly with the events that we hold, Sankalp, that's what we started with 7 years ago. So in the Kenya office, that's all we had.
Yeah.
And I think we hit a very clear market opportunity then, because there was a demand, there was a need for this type of convening that's bringing together the entrepreneurship community.
Yes.
And it's not just enterprises and investors. There are academic institutions, there are incubators, there are co-working spaces, there are accelerators, there are NGOs and NGOs, community-based organizations, government representatives. There are so many people who are trying to figure out this entrepreneurship space, and there wasn't anything bringing them together. And I think it built upon itself. I mean, we went from, I think we really worked hard to get like 300 people, 400 people in a room at the Intercon in town in 2014, and now we're expecting 1,100-1,200 people next week. So some of it, I think, it was definitely a lot of hard work, but I think it was a snowball effect. You know, it just sort of grew on itself.
So if